Over the past few years, how have people's perceptions of ESG, environmental social governance, changed and evolved? And what does that mean for business?
They've changed a lot, actually. We've gotten feedback in our recent survey from more than 11,000 people in 15 different countries, and we found that 93% of them believe that sustainability and social factors are more important now than ever. We also found that 78% of them are frustrated with the lack of progress that's been made, and businesses really need to think about that, right? Because if I'm frustrated about the progress that you have made, when I buy products from you, when I apply to a work at a job for you, I'm not buying things that I actually want to buy. I'm buying things I need to buy. If I'm applying to work at a place, but I don't really feel like I'm engaged, I'm not bringing all of myself to work. And so organizations should care that that high of a number actually feel like enough progress hasn't been made. And then finally, 89% of them feel like, look, it's not just enough for organizations to greenwash things and say that they're doing something about ESG. They really want them to actually do something about it and be able to prove that that's something that they're working on.
Which department do you feel is responsible for ESG initiatives? Who is it relevant to?
You know, that's an interesting question because I sort of think of the way ESG needs to emerge as the way that digital emerged some years ago. So I used to work with another organization, and we talked about how C-suite needed to evolve to the D-suite. The digital wasn't just one organization's responsibility. And I think the same thing is true with ESG, right? It's not just one organization's responsibility. Every single function needs to think about that. Every single function needs to contribute to that. And so while you might have someone that serves as a czar for it in your organization, it really is everyone else's responsibility. Everyone needs to have a seat at that table, both in terms of voice and in terms of accountability. If we look back at the data, we saw that 94% of people believe that sustainability and societal metrics should be used to inform their traditional business metrics. And they want that to affect the way that they look at their supply chain, the way that they think about how they develop their products, the way that they look at logistics or distribution. They want to look at the way that they market and the way that they sell products, or how they even recruit and keep their talent. So that evolution from one person being responsible to look at it to all of us being responsible to look at it is not just something that I care about, but it's reflected in the numbers as well.
So what are your recommendations for business leadership on how to integrate and actualize ESG within their business roles?
Everyone has a need that they are looking for someone to fill, this hole that they want you to fill. And so whether it's the product that you're selling or the way your product makes them feel, what is it that you're doing for them? And if they go back and look at how they may be able to integrate ESG into all of the things that they're working on, let that be the driving force. The problem that you're solving, let that be the driving force. And if it's an emotional problem that you're solving and that people want to feel better about how you treat the planet, people want to feel like what they're building today is going to be there tomorrow, people want to feel like that you're working with others in a sustainable way, that's good for you because it's good for business and it's good for the customer. So find a way to actually reconstruct your organizational identity around those types of things. Because if you don't, you run the risk of really not being here, not just at a product level, but at a business level.
Let's talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning. What role do you feel these technologies can play in supporting ESG?
It's really important to think about how much you might be able to get from a bot like an Alexa or a Google Assistant all the way up to AI and machine learning, how you might be able to get value from the way that they'll be able to assist you. More than that, though, if you think about the information that came out of the research, you actually see people that say they would trust that bot to make some of those decisions for you. Now, if you use that to your advantage, you can actually take the human and the machine and have them work together so that the bot is doing the bulk of the heavy lifting around the data, and the human's doing the bulk of the heavy lifting around the pivoting. And the marriage of those, I think, is wonderful. As a matter of fact, we found that 88% of business leaders believe that organizations that use technology to help drive sustainable business practices will be the ones to succeed in the long run. So I like to tell people that, look, these numbers aren't new, right? Intuitively, we felt like they were right, but the decisions that you have to make about them are right now, and the pivot that you have to make is new.
Pamela, it was so great to speak with you today. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.